Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second episode of M.V.P. Metnick and Vinci Productions NBA talk show slash podcast. I am Hunter Metnick with my co-host Zach Vinci, and today we are going to talk about our mock draft predictions. Now, you guys will be seeing this on the day of the NBA draft, on Wednesday, November 18th. So we're filming this the night before the draft, and I'm sure that nothing big will happen unless obviously there's draft day trades.
There's always draft day trades.
Yeah, I mean,
the draft order could look wildly different tomorrow than by the time we do this right now.
Oh yeah. Next thing you know, tomorrow there could be the Warriors could not have a draft pick in this entire draft, and two will be gone. But who knows? Yeah. That's what we're here to discuss
the Clippers
about.
And the Clippers will have the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, there's anything that could happen on draft day. There's been we've had incredible drafts in the past. I know, especially the past couple of years. I mean, we've seen studs on studs come out of it. Like, you got the Luka Trey swap. I mean, DeAndre Ayton was promising.
The Luka Trey swap is going to be something that's talked about for decades.
Yes,
that's going to go down as one of the biggest draft day trades of all time.
Yeah, and possibly one of the worst trades for Atlanta, maybe.
Atlanta, yeah.
I mean, we'll see how Trae Young turns out, but the way it's looking right now, Luka is a generational player. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, but let's get into talking about the draft tomorrow. So, obviously, the Timberwolves have the first pick.
I thought we were talking about some of the free agents.
Yeah,
first.
So let's start with Drew Holiday. So as we talked about in our last episode, Drew Holiday was looking to get moved, and he did. He got moved to the Milwaukee Bucks for what I believe is Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, 3 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. Thoughts?
That was, oh my God, the Bucks. The Bucks better hope that Giannis resigns next year. And I know the move was done because Giannis wanted it done. Like, the only reason they did that is because Giannis wanted someone.
Yeah.
And he probably wanted Drew Holiday. And that's the only reason the Bucks did that trade. But if they don't accomplish at least going to the finals this year, Giannis is gonna leave, and that team's gonna be the worst team in the league for 10 years.
Yeah.
They traded away their whole future.
I saw a thing that was like, they were saying like the worst possible outcome. Drew Holiday is on a player option of it's like what, $27 million next year. Yeah. Say he declines that. Giannis, they don't make it past the Eastern Conference Finals. Giannis walks. The Milwaukee Bucks are in one of the bottom 2 positions in the NBA.
Yeah, they're in really bad position. I just want to take a moment to appreciate how much the Pelicans have fleeced the NBA right now.
Yes.
Because first you got Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday, who they've shipped off in the last 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. Those are guys who struggled to get them past the first round in the playoffs for the last 5-6 years. And they turned that into like 8 or 9 first round picks, including and Brandon Ingram plus Zion Williamson.
Plus Lonzo and Josh Hart kind of. Fundamental pieces.
Like, I'd rather have Ingram than Holiday. So, and then if you just remove that from the equation, it's Anthony Davis for like 7 or 8 picks and a bunch of good other players.
Yeah.
The front office there is doing their job amazingly. Like, the only team that I think you can put it in the same conversation is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Exactly. And
Sam Presti, incredible.
Yeah. No, and I think they hired the perfect coach in Stan Van Gundy to help just develop young guys. That's what he's always been known for. That's what he's done for, a long time. So I love the direction the Pelicans are going. Even if say Lonzo doesn't turn out to his potential, or 2 of those picks don't turn out great, are in the mid-20s, and maybe it's just a rotational player. Anthony Davis asked to leave. They got the best possible package for him, and Anthony Davis succeeded too.
And Drew Holiday wanted no part of staying in New Orleans another year, and so they got rid of him, and they got everything they wanted from him.
Exactly. Drew Holiday also just didn't fit the timeline with them. They were going young. Drew Holiday he's been in the league now for how long?
Over 10 years.
Yeah, since he was drafted by the Sixers.
Throwback to the Philly days. If only we had kept him.
Oh my God. Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure he is going to be kind of returning to his Philly days by going to play point guard now for the Milwaukee Bucks. Because they trade away Eric Bledsoe.
this will be the first time he's played point guard in the last 5 years. So it's
Yeah.
going to be really interesting to see if I think he'll maybe be able to make that transition, especially when you got a veteran guard of that caliber in the league. Shouldn't be a problem. And he's a better playmaker than Bledsoe ever was. So
yes. Like offensive games, I feel like he's just like probably around the same as Bledsoe, like when it comes to shooting and everything like that. But defensively, it's a major upgrade.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I like the Bogdanovich move even better.
Yes.
I think the Bucks, that was a really good trade for the Bucks, because with the trade for Holiday, while you add a lot defensively, you add a playmaker and you add veteran leadership, what you really get with Bogdanovich is scoring.
Yes.
And I think that is the biggest thing the Bucks need right now. They need guys who can score the basketball. And with Giannis and Holiday handling everything on the inside, and you got Middleton and Bogdanovich standing on the perimeter.
Even Brook Lopez on the perimeter.
And Brook Lopez, exactly.
Yeah.
They managed to do all this while keeping Brook Lopez, which is amazing to me. I mean, this is a team this is championship or bust this year.
Yes.
This is championship or bust for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah. So everyone said the Clippers, the Clippers were this season, but the Clippers got one more year with a couple.
Clippers got one more year.
Paul George.
I mean, Clippers and Bucks, both of them this year. It's championship or bust.
Yes.
And then it's done.
If it happens to be a Lakers Nets NBA Finals, we could see the Clippers and the Bucks in the worst position in the NBA for the next 10, 15 years.
They could be. The Clippers will go back to the cellar of the Western Conference, and the Bucks will go back to being the lower tier team we've always known them to be.
Yeah.
Since the 70s.
Exactly. It's going to be such an exciting season this year. And well, Retta, I'd love to talk about the I know you're not a big fan of this player, but Robert Covington being traded to the Portland Trailblazers for Trevor Ariza and back-to-back first-round picks, I believe. Now, I'm personally a big fan of this trade for the Houston Rockets, because they're starting to show that they are going to acquire draft picks, and they are going to blow it up, because Russ has wanted out. It seems like Harden's destined to go to Brooklyn now.
Gone. Or Philly.
True. So getting those future assets, they didn't have any of them because they gave them all to OKC. So now everyone's picks are just going around the NBA now, and it's great to see. And so I think the Robert Covington fit on the Trailblazers, I don't think he's that bad. I think he's a good 3-and-D player.
I've watched Covington for years on the Sixers. He's not special. He's an average role player. Giving up 2 first-rounders for him seems like overkill. Plus Ariza, who honestly, I don't think the gap between Ariza and Covington is that big to begin with. Covington's obviously the better player, but is it worth a two first-round pick difference?
No.
I don't know. Hell no. It's not even close. It's not worth 2 first-rounders. Yeah. Covington is not going to be the guy that elevates Portland from an 8 seed in the West to a championship contender.
Yes.
It's not. And they gave up 2 first-rounders for, I don't know. I don't think that was a good trade for Portland. I just think they're trading away pieces for the future to try and make a run at it this year, but it's not even the type of trade that they need to make a run. It's just going to maybe elevate them to a playoff team.
Exactly.
They're not even guaranteed to be a playoff team right now.
Yeah, they barely were a playoff team. If it wasn't for the bubble, they would not have been a playoff team last year. Yeah. So
and with how loaded the West is.
Oh, exactly. It's also really cool to me to see a team like the Rockets who are realizing, because they've been pushing for the championship. They've made it to the playoffs. What was it, like 9 straight years with Harden?
Longest playoff streak in the NBA currently.
Yeah,
it's Houston Rockets. It's gonna end this year.
Yeah, well, yeah, we hope so. But it's cool to see a mid-tier team, like a 4 or 5 seed, who realizes they're not better, and they're like, all right, it's time to start now. Because the Pacers, just as an example, the Pacers have been a mid-tier team for years on years on years, but they've never been like, let's blow it up. Let's rebuild.
The Pacers have been a mid-tier team since 1985.
Exactly.
I swear to God, the Pacers are 15th in NBA historical win percentage, and I think 15th in most playoff appearances. They're like dead even.
Exactly. It doesn't get more average than that.
Exactly. And then one run where they made it to the finals and they lost to Shaq and the Lakers. So
no, it's good to see that, because hopefully it'll inspire other general managers to take a step back and be like, okay, we're not a championship contender team. Let's see what we can get for a Domantas Sabonis. Put him on a championship contending team.
Yeah. I think the Rockets are just doing what the Thunder did last year.
Yes.
The Thunder were a mid-tier team for years since Kevin Durant left, and they turned Russell Westbrook and Paul George around into the best future in the league. If the Rockets can do the same with Westbrook and Harden, they could be set up very good for the future.
Yes.
We'll see if their managing is as good as Sam Presti's was for the Thunder.
That's going to be tough. Sam Presti's done incredible things for the Oklahoma City
Best
Thunder.
GM in the league. Best GM in the league.
He's definitely top
close.
3.
He's incredible.
He is.
Danny Ainge is up there too, though.
Yes, he is. He just,
and that's
Danny
coming from a Sixers fan. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the last trade I'd like to talk about with you is my personal favorite trade that's happened so far. Chris Paul. I said it last podcast. I said I think a sleeper team for Chris Paul is the Phoenix Suns. Now
let's go.
My opinions on it to start is I do feel kind of bad for Chris Paul for the pure fact that it doesn't look like he's going to win a championship, and I don't think that that team can contend for a championship. And I think everyone wanted to see Chris Paul win a championship. He's kind of like Chris Paul, Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook. Everyone wants to see them win championships. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But,
I got 3 predictions for the results of this trade.
Okay.
Prediction number 1: the Phoenix Suns are a top 5 team in the West next year.
I agree.
Prediction number 2: Devin Booker will finish top 3 in MVP voting.
Ooh.
Prediction number 3: Kelly Oubre, whether he's on the Thunder or another team, will be in conversation for most improved player and will average over 20 points per game this year.
Wow. I didn't know.
Those are my 3 predictions on how this trade is going to turn out. I think if the Thunder decide to keep Oubre, I think him and Shea will be a very good duo. I think they'll both be 20 point per game scorers, and I think that they'll be competitive. I think that'll be a competitive team because I really think Oubre is such a talented player.
They'll be a competitive 13th seed.
Yeah, I mean the West is ridiculous. So
yeah,
you never know. But everyone was saying that about the Thunder last year, and then they came out and became a 4 seed. So
that's true. But no, I'm super excited to see what Phoenix does, especially with
me too.
They needed to do something like the Bucks to keep Booker. There were so many trade rumors around Booker, and now that they've just made it clear they want Booker to stay in Phoenix, they're in a win now situation where, I mean, it's probably not going to last long with this Chris Paul because he's only got 2 more years.
This is the 2 years that they have to figure out if Devin Booker is going to be the guy to lead them to a championship.
Yes.
If the Chris Paul Devin Booker experiment doesn't work, it's time to ship Devin Booker out. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Because if they can be very competitive with Paul and Booker, when Paul is reaching the end of his tenure in Phoenix, that's when they go out and acquire another superstar to be with Booker, and then they're looking to be championship contenders. Because Booker has the talent to be the best player on a championship team. I'm saying it right now. Devin Booker's that good. In a couple years, but he has the talent and he's that good.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm so excited for the Phoenix Suns, and even with the 10th pick, I think they could go a lot of different options with it. And so let's start with the number 1 overall pick for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who recently acquired my personal favorite player in the NBA, hands down. Want to put this out there, D'Angelo Russell.
Russell.
And they have Karl-Anthony Towns, who in both of our books, I don't think he's a top 3 center in the NBA, but
overrated. So overrated. He's talented.
Very, very, very good offensive center.
Yes. Karl-Anthony Towns is the type of guy that, like, in his first couple years in the league, I was not big on Devin Booker. And I think Karl-Anthony Towns can be the same way, that if he shows that he can be the best player on a team and actually win games, then I think I can become more of a favorite with him. So, I mean, I was never big on Nikola Jokic until this year, until he showed that he could make it to the Western Conference Finals being the best player on the team. So, I mean, he could always change my mind, but right now I think he's overrated.
Yeah. So, for the first overall pick, I think this is almost a no-brainer. I think the Anthony Edwards fit is just too perfect for this team.
Yeah. Edwards is probably, in my opinion, the safest player in the draft. I think no matter what team he lands on, he's going to come out next year and average at least 16, 17 points per game. He'll be in contention for Rookie of the Year. He's a scorer, right? He's a scorer. He puts the ball in the hoop, and he's athletic, and he's everything you want out of a guy who's going to be a second or third piece on a team.
Yeah.
And while I don't think there's a clear number 1 this year, like in recent years with Zion, of course, or like Ben Simmons a couple of years before that.
I mean, should have been Luka, but
I think should have been Luka, But no, I think Edwards is the number one choice here, and I just think it's because of the fit and just because of how safe of a pick it is.
Mhm.
I think he's really the only safe pick in the top 8 that he's going to produce.
Yeah.
And yeah, and my comparison for Anthony Edwards is not a great comparison, but I think he reminds me a lot of Andrew Wiggins, just with the talent, the explosiveness, the scoring. But I think the difference between Edwards and Wiggins is Edwards just loves the game of basketball, and he's going to work his ass off.
Yes.
He is. From everything we've seen at Georgia, he's always been a dog. And I think with that level of talent, he's going to be better than Andrew Wiggins.
That's fair. I wrote down that I think his ceiling is a Donovan Mitchell kind of player where he's just strictly offense, explosive, can attack the rim. I don't think he gets much better than Donovan Mitchell. Like he's like the Dwayne Wade kind of like play, not like obviously Dwayne Wade, but he will play like Dwayne Wade. He's just that shooting guard who's explosive. And honestly, I think if any team from probably 3 to 8 had this first overall pick, I think they're taking LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that I'd just be as a huge D'Angelo Russell fan, if they take another ball dominant point guard who can't defend well in LaMelo Ball, to me that's almost to D'Angelo Russell like, wow, they're already giving up on me.
Exactly. No, I agree with that completely. And well, I mean, the difference between LaMelo and Edwards to me is LaMelo has the higher ceiling, but Edwards has the much higher floor.
Yes.
So if you want the safer pick, you take Anthony Edwards, and especially with the fit for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think Edwards is the pick. But the one thing we don't know, I think this is the first time in at least the last 5 or 6 years that I can remember, I think the first pick could get traded.
I agree.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I can't remember the last time that I remember the first pick being up for grabs for another team. I mean, everyone knew the Suns were going to take Ayton. Everyone knew the Pelicans were going to take Zion. Everyone knew the Sixers were going to take Simmons. I mean, obviously the Sixers traded up to get Fultz, but that was days before the draft.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It'll be interesting to see if we get a draft day trade.
I hope so. 1. I kind of hope so. I want to see I've seen teams like I don't know if they've had the package, but I think like if a team like the San Antonio Spurs, a weird team, or like the New York Knicks could throw a trade offer at them. I don't think either of them really have the assets to do it, but I think those are 2 teams that are definitely willing to want to trade up in this draft.
I would love to see the Knicks trade up to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see that.
Me too. It'd be something that they kind of need to do, to help out Knicks fans who have been dying.
Exactly. They just need to show there's a glimpse of hope for Knicks fans in the future.
Yeah.
They need to show that. So.
Exactly.
All right. Number 2.
Yeah, let's move on to my favorite
Golden State
team.
Warriors.
Favorite team
This
in
is
the
your
NBA.
team. Who do you want them taking? Who do you want them taking? Who do you think they're going to take?
So, I mean, there was just a recent report where Steph Curry was asked about what they want to draft, and he said, I think we need some size. And I want to go with the player who, although he only played 3 games in college, I think he is the undoubtedly best center in this league, in the draft. I think his ceiling is a David Robinson, and I'm going to go with James Wiseman.
Yeah, we've discussed this before. I know you are a lot higher on Wiseman than I am.
Yeah.
I don't have Wiseman in my top 6 or 7 overall players in this draft class. I think he's incredibly overrated. But honestly, if I'm the Warriors, I'm looking at Denny Avdija or Onyeka Okongwu instead.
Wow.
But honestly, if I had to guess, I think they're going to go with Wiseman. I would be very surprised if they don't go with Wiseman.
Now, give me a reason why you would rather have Onyeka Okongwu over James Wiseman.
I think I like the way that Okongwu, I think he's a much better defender, first of all. He can space the floor a lot better than Wiseman. Wiseman's he's a shot blocker. He can defend the rim really well, but Okongwu can guard guys at least 3 through 5 on the floor. He can guard guards. He can guard forwards. He obviously can guard centers. I think the defense is just a big reason why I think Okongwu is better. And I also think Okongwu is going to come in immediately and he's going to produce. He's going to have the same role on a team now that he will in 8 years. Wiseman, I don't know. I'm not sure about Wiseman. I need to see him play a couple games in the NBA to get more of a feel for him. I didn't really watch him much in college at Memphis due to his injury and then sitting out, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to go with Wiseman, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I've seen a couple rumors of them trading the pick to possibly, I saw a rumor for, for the Magic for an Aaron Gordon or Nikola Vucevic. I saw a San Antonio Spurs trade for LaMarcus Aldridge in 11, but neither of those to me really, although yes, the Warriors are in win now situation. I still think Wiseman's this pick. I compare Wiseman to I said his ceiling is David Robinson already. I think he can come in and be a 15-10 guy right off the bat, because I don't see the Warriors drafting a center and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson somehow making him a bust or even an average player. I mean, they're just too good.
I see my player comparison for Wiseman is Andre Drummond.
Okay.
I think Wiseman has the potential to be a better shooter than Drummond, but otherwise I see a lot of the same attributes in both of them, with the shot blocking, great rebounding, just your typical center. And in my opinion, the typical center in the NBA is not as valuable as it once was. No. If this was 1995, Wiseman would be an excellent selection. Yes. But nowadays, guards are the way to go. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I don't think an Andre Drummond type of player is going to end up being one of the best players in this draft class.
Gotcha. No, I think though, if you were to put an Andre Drummond on the Warriors right now.
That's true.
Yes.
Fit-wise, I think he could work very well in Golden State. I think it could.
Yeah, and I think just because if he does get drafted to Golden State, I think that will make him one of the top players in the draft. But I think if he goes to like Charlotte just like ruins people's careers. Let's be honest real quick. I don't see I just don't think he'll turn out that well. So that's a good translator to the number 3 pick with the Charlotte Hornets.
I was just gonna say quickly, if I'm James Wiseman, I'm praying Golden State drafts me.
Oh, without a doubt.
Praying. Because if he doesn't go at number 2, the Hornets are gonna take him at number 3.
Yes.
And that's not a place you want to go. Speaking of which, number 3, I'm scared. Because I think at least the guy with the highest ceiling in this draft class, LaMelo Ball, is gonna be a Charlotte Hornet. That scares me.
Yeah.
Because I think that franchise is not looking good.
No, it's so frustrating. I have the same pick. I have LaMelo going 3. Mm-hmm. But when I was looking at, the prospects underneath LaMelo, I would much rather LaMelo go to any other of those teams.
Any of the other teams, I know. It's sad because LaMelo Ball, I mean, with his passing, his shooting, his athleticism, his ability to just score the ball, and I mean, I don't know. I love LaMelo Ball. And I mean, my comparison for him doesn't really translate to how good I think he's going to be. He reminds me a lot of Sean Livingston. Just with the way, the size, the passing, the mid-range scoring, and just the way he can get to the hoop. His jump shot is pretty unreliable right now. He's shown he can nail 3-pointers if he's feeling hot. If he's feeling hot, but also his shot selection is very questionable.
Yes.
As is his defensive drive. So I'm not 100% sure how he's going to turn out. He's either going to be the best player in this draft class, or he's going to be out of the league in 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow. So you have no in between for him.
I don't have any in between. I mean, he's got the talent. It just comes down to the work ethic. He's so much more talented than Lonzo.
Yes.
So much more.
That was actually what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, what was
way more athletic, better shooter, better slasher.
Yeah.
Lonzo's obviously got the defensive advantage.
Yes.
I think they're about the same playmaking. So if LaMelo can develop that defense that Lonzo has, he's going to be 5-6 times better than Lonzo.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you, what were your thoughts on Lonzo when he was getting drafted to LA? Like, were you high on Lonzo? Were you really low on him?
I didn't have Lonzo as one of the top 2 or 3 in the draft class, but I probably had him right after that.
Okay.
I thought he had the potential to be an absolute stud.
Yes.
But then again, I was also like, he could just be an average point guard. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, Lonzo Ball, he's going to be an average point guard in this league. I think he's going to be a backup for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be much more than that.
Yeah, I think if he starts on a team, I think he could be an all defensive second team kind of contender.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, to me, I think if LaMelo Ball pans out how he should, he's going to be the best player in this draft class, and I don't even think it's going to be close.
Wow.
I think he has legitimate absolute stud potential to be a franchise player. And the Hornets, I don't know. Michael Jordan, don't screw this one up.
Exactly. Yeah. I had
if LaMelo is there at 3, you have to take him though.
You have
to take him.
It's just frustrating as an NBA fan.
Yeah. The fit wouldn't work with Minnesota or Golden State. That's why I don't have him going 1 or 2. If the fit worked with either of those teams, I'd have him ahead of them. Because I think if I was an NBA team, I'd rather have LaMelo than Edwards or Wiseman.
Yes.
But because you don't get these franchise type players, they don't come around very often. Yeah. So when you have the chance at one, you have to snap on it, even if there's bust potential. So
yeah,
I'm praying that the Hornets or whoever takes him don't screw up LaMelo Ball, and I'm praying that LaMelo Ball has the work ethic and the drive to be as good as he could be.
Exactly. I would be, if they do draft LaMelo Ball, I'd be interested to see what they do in a free agency, because I mean we were talking about like I don't want to say this, but like a Montrezl Harrell going there, where I feel like they're just not signing, like they're just, if I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan, man, I have no idea what I want. I would almost want them to trade down for like two or three other picks and just draft prospects now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know. And so yeah, I think Lonzo, LaMelo, I do think he has the top potential. I had him as a comparison as almost like a taller Trae Young. That's a ceiling where he could be an incredible scorer. And that's pretty much it.
Ceiling, if you're looking at ceiling, I think LaMelo has a higher ceiling than Trae Young. I mean, there's not many people who I think have a higher ceiling than LaMelo Ball. That's how talented he is. I mean, I've watched him play a good amount the last couple of years. He is absolutely insane. It's just gonna be interesting to see what he can do at the next level.
Yes, I completely.
Because the competition question is there.
Yeah, and moving on to the Chicago Bulls, if LaMelo's there, you take LaMelo Ball.
Oh, absolutely.
But we've been over that. I think he won't be. And so I personally, they need a wing. They need a playmaker because they have scoring on all 4 other positions, and they're drafting the next Ben Simmons and Denny Avdija.
That was my comparison as well. I love Denny Avdija. Mm-hmm. He is my number 3 player in this draft class.
Okay.
I have him. I've got LaMelo 1. I won't reveal who's number 2 because we're getting to him. And I've got Avdija number 3. Just honestly ahead of Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
I love Avdija. I mean, a lot of people question him just because he's a Euro, and there's always the question mark around Euros.
Yes.
But Luka Doncic, he totally disproved that.
Yes.
And Denny Avdija, man, the Bulls, it's such a good fit. You mentioned it. It's such a good fit. He's the playmaker. He's the defender. He's the ultimate glue guy. He's gonna come in and he's gonna do everything for you. Mm-hmm. And his shooting is better than Simmons. I mean, it's enough to keep defenses honest.
Most people's
and if he develops the shooting further, oh my God, the potential is so high for Denny Avdija.
Yeah,
so high.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you need to put a playmaker next to. I think Kobe White. I think he's going to pan out to be a mid-tier point guard in this league. I think he'll never get above like an 85 overall in 2K, but he'll just be he'll be a decent scorer in the league. You know what I mean? And I think if you have Kobe White running the 1, he's not a big playmaker. You have Zach LaVine running the 2. He's a 25 to 30 points per game scorer this year, in my opinion. You've got Lauri Markkanen stretching the 4 at power forward. Wendell Carter Jr. to be not really a big body because I think he's only 6'9", 6'10", but a big enough body to be a center in the NBA right now. You put Denny Avdija at that wing spot. I think that team could be. They could probably compete for an 8 seed.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Kobe White and LaVine have the potential next season to be one of the best guard duos in the league if everything goes right for them.
Ooh,
I think if you slot, I think they're going to be at the end of the season. They're going to be a top 8 guard. They're going to be a top 8 backcourt in the league.
Okay.
And I think especially if you have Avdija in there, who's such a good playmaker, his vision it reminds me a lot of Simmons and Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people compare him to Doncic. I don't really see the comparison, but if you're just looking at the playmaking aspect of their game, I think Avdija is just as good as Luka.
Wow.
In terms of playmaking.
Yeah.
He can pass the ball. His court vision is insane. Okay. So he's really a point forward kind of guy.
Yeah. So, I think his
very high on
him would be almost like a point forward Ricky Rubio. if that makes sense. Like he'll be a great passer, but nothing else. But I still think he has that defensive potential to be a good wing player, or even if they need someone to guard. If say you're going up against the Lakers, right? You're not trusting Kobe White to guard LeBron James. You trust Danny Avdija. That's why they have Kobe White, or I would say, if I'm talking last year, guard like the Danny Green, like that kind of matchups. And so I'm all in with you. I think the fit, even if he doesn't pan out to be a Ben Simmons, great Euro player, I think the fit on Chicago, it's just too good to pass up.
Yeah. And Danny Avdija, he got the seal of approval from Steve Kerr in the workout with the Warriors. So anyone who gets the seal of approval from Steve Kerr, I trust Steve Kerr's judgment.
Yep.
Avdija is the real deal. He's the real deal.
Yeah, and they also just signed oh my gosh, who's the coach? He was the Thunder coach. Billy Donovan.
Oh, Billy Donovan.
Yes.
Fantastic coach.
Yeah, he's perfect player development.
Make playoff run this year.
I mean, he's such a huge up. Jim Boylan was the worst NBA coach that's been in the NBA for years. Maybe. Okay, no, not Brett Brown. No.
Brett Brown.
Brown. Dude, give me Brett Brown over Jim Boylan. Jim Boylan, I'll never forget the game where Jim Boylan was like, Zach, don't shoot the ball. Stop shooting. And they got an argument. And Zach LaVine hit that game-winning 3 against, I think it was Charlotte. Like, Jim Boylan, I think any player is just, I'm so excited to see the Bulls next year.
Throw Luke Walton in there too.
Yes. Oh, those three. Can't forget about them.
The unholy trinity right there.
Exactly. So
coaches.
Yeah, moving on to 5. We've got the Cleveland Cavaliers, who they're a weird team too. They Andre Drummond just picked up his player option and seems like he's going to do one more year there if they don't trade him, like a sign and trade.
That's what I predicted.
What do you have? What do you have for Cleveland?
Obi Toppin, the forward
5
from
for
Dayton.
5.
5 for 5 so far. Obi Toppin. I feel like I've felt like Toppin's been going to the Cavs for months now. Yes. I've not wavered on that once. I just think he's a great fit there. I'm not big on Obi Toppin in general. I think I have him at number 8. I think I have him at number 8 or 9 in the draft class overall. I think he's going to get a little overdrafted. But, I mean, with the Cavs don't need more guards. And this is a guard-heavy draft class, at least in my opinion. I think most of the best players are guards. And so when you've got they've got Darius Garland, they've got Colin Sexton.
They need to start developing those guys.
Exactly. I think I love Sexton. I think Sexton's going to have a great year.
I agree.
And I think Toppin's going to come in and he's going to produce immediately. Okay. But I don't think he has a high ceiling. I mean, I don't know. He's going to be a starting caliber forward for a couple of years, in my opinion. And then I think he's going to get relegated to a bench role. He's already a little bit older than most of the other rookies at 22 years old.
22, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, there's questions about his age. To me, his ceiling, this is his player comparison. If he pans out to be what everyone's hoping him to be, I see a lot of Amari Stoudemire in him.
Whoa, okay.
I see a lot of Amari Stoudemire in him.
Okay.
Just because of the defensive ability, the ability to step outside and hit great mid-range scoring, great rebounding. I see a lot of Stoudemire in him, but that's if he pans out, and I'm not confident that he's going to.
Okay, for my player comparison, I have him coming in and being exactly like Aaron Gordon. I think they're both like kind of smaller tier power forwards that are high flying. I mean, Obi Toppin, he's known for dunking. That's kind of what that's what he did at Dayton. That's how he really got his name out there. Yeah. I really see Obi Toppin as being like an Aaron Gordon kind of player. But I don't see him getting better than an Aaron Gordon kind of player. Obviously, if he pans out and he proves me wrong, I like your comparison to Amari Stoudemire. Yeah, but I don't see him getting better.
No, I agree. I agree. I think Aaron Gordon's another good comparison. I mean, I'm not big on Gordon to begin with.
Yeah,
I think he's an average player. I don't think he's ever going to pan out to be. I don't think he's ever going to pan out to be a stud. I think he's going to be what he is right now the rest of his career.
Yes.
So I could very much see Toppin being something like that. I don't think we'll see Toppin out of the league anytime soon.
No,
I think
he'll be a long-term player.
Cement a role. I think he's going to cement himself as a role player for a long time.
It's like a Jeremy Grant.
But I mean, when you're the top 5 draft pick though, you kind of have higher expectations than that.
Exactly. So, yeah, no, I do like the fit though. I think Kevin Love's on his way out. If he doesn't get traded this offseason, he's on his way out. So I think they do need to go young. And say they keep Kevin Love around. I think he'd be a good mentor. for Obi Toppin, just, to learn. He's had championship DNA. That team kind of needs it because they are just young and they can't figure out their coaching situation. That's beyond us though. And so, let's move on to number 6. I believe it's the Atlanta Hawks with the 6th overall pick.
Yes. The Atlanta Hawks.
Yes.
I feel like this is going to be the first one we're going to differ on. I have the Atlanta Hawks taking Tyrese Halliburton at number 6.
We have the exact same pick.
Iowa State. Really?
I swear. And the thing is, I'm not a big, for everyone watching, I'm not a big college basketball fan. Zach is way more college basketball than me. I'm not, when it comes to college football, he's college football. I am professional sports. I've seen Tyrese Halliburton. Yes. Oh yeah. You're huge. Every time I go to do anything college, I'll text you. When I found out even about Denny Avdia, I texted him. I was like, how good is he really? So I haven't done much research on Tyrese Halliburton, but I watched a couple of his highlights and I completely agree with you on the pick.
Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know about fit because Trae Young is obviously the Hawks starting point guard of the future. But I could see Halliburton being moved to shooting guard. He reminds me a lot. My player comparison for him is Lonzo Ball, but better. I think he's going to be a better Lonzo Ball. Okay. Because he has all the same things Lonzo has, but more. He has the IQ, he has the defense, he has the playmaking.
Yes.
But he's a better shooter, and I think he's also more athletic. So I think right now Lonzo Ball is his floor, but Halliburton's a good enough shooter that he could play off ball with Trae Young, and if you got that as a backcourt, that's scary.
Exactly.
That's a very, very scary backcourt. I mean, to me, I just think at that point you're taking the best available player.
Yeah,
and
without doubt.
Halliburton, he's right up there for me, especially after you're out of the top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, you're looking for the best guy available, and he's up there. I mean, I think I have him. Let me check. I have him overall. I have Halliburton number 5 on my overall draft board. I'm a big Halliburton fan. Yeah. I think he's going to carve out a really solid spot for himself in the league.
Yeah, when I was watching him, he reminded me a lot of an early to beginning of mid-career shooting guard version of Jimmy Butler. He has the IQ, kind of a little bit of playmaking and defense. Like you could see he's willing to do anything to win.
Yep.
And that is exactly what they need next to Trae Young.
Yep.
So
look,
I like the pick.
You can't teach basketball IQ. So when you've got someone, I mean, Halliburton is definitely one of the smartest players in this draft class, at least from a basketball standpoint. Yeah. You can tell he knows what he's doing out there. He makes the right decisions, and it's hard to teach that. So he's going to come in, and I think that's going to be a very, very solid pick. And I like the fit with the Hawks. I do.
Yeah.
And I think the Hawks just should be looking to take whoever they think is the best available player, and Halliburton would be a good fit with them.
Exactly. So let's go on to pick number 7, which arguably I'd probably say they're the second weirdest team in this draft, behind the Charlotte Hornets. Because they're the Charlotte Hornets. They've been weird for a while, but the Detroit Pistons. Gosh, what do you have going on here?
The Pistons isn't a destination you want to go to.
Not really.
I wouldn't. I mean, if you're a prospect, you don't really I want to go to Detroit.
Yeah.
But I think the Pistons are gonna land their franchise player here. He's my number 2 guy in this draft.
Yep,
I'm a huge Killian Hayes.
Yes, I
love Killian
I can't believe. I swear, guys, we did not go over our picks before this.
We didn't talk about this at all.
We didn't talk about this at all. I have them too.
Killian Hayes. I'm in love with Killian Hayes. I could go on for hours about how much I love Killian Hayes. He reminds me of your favorite player of all time, D'Angelo Russell. And
that's how you got me into him. You told me he reminds me of D'Angelo Russell. I immediately clicked off of the YouTube video I was watching. I watched his highlights and I was like, oh my God, I love it.
Electric. He can score. I mean, he's out of France, and right now I think Euros are on the rise in this league. European players are guys that a lot of teams are looking at now, especially with the success of Luka Doncic recently. And Killian Hayes, he's so talented. Offensively, so talented. I mean, you got a scorer like that on your team, all the other pieces are going to fall together.
Exactly.
I think the Pistons should be praying he's there at 7. I think he's talented enough to go top 3 or 4, but I think he's going to fall a little bit just because of there's question marks. He's not a sure bet, not at all. He could come in. He could be out of the league in a couple of years.
Yeah, the players ahead of him are just safer picks, I would say. Like,
yes,
although Killian Hayes, I think his potential or his ceiling is so much higher than a lot of the other guys.
Oh my god!
But his floor is also way higher, or way lower.
Yeah, way lower. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I could see a scenario where Hayes is playing overseas in 3 or 4 years.
Yes,
but I could also the scenario which I think is much more likely with the talent that he has. I think Killian Hayes is going to be a top 5 or 6 point guard in the league in his prime. I think he's that good. I'm a big Killian Hayes believer.
Yeah.
And I think the Pistons are going to land their point guard of the future.
Yeah, and I don't think Derrick Rose is going to be on the team next year. As an NBA fan, I just hope not. Please, Detroit, if you're listening to this, get rid of Derrick Rose. Give him a chance to win a championship. But they need to go young, and I think a Killian Hayes Christian Wood duo could be very, very interesting next year.
Yeah, and the Pistons are one of the few teams in the league that just don't have a franchise player on their team. They don't even have like anyone remotely close. I mean, I like Christian Wood a lot, but a center in most cases isn't your franchise player. He's a good player, but he's not someone you're looking to build around. Killian Hayes has got to be that guy for Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be. I mean, they need to take him, and I also think if Halliburton drops to 7, I think that would also be a pretty good fit with them.
One of those two guys.
Question whether I don't know if Halliburton would be able to fit as well with the Pistons just because they don't really have as many scorers.
Exactly.
Where Killian Hayes is going to come in and he's going to score. That's what he does. He's shifty. He can shoot the ball. He can drive the ball.
Yeah.
Big Killian Hayes fan here. He's gonna, in my opinion, he's gonna be a top 3 player in this draft class.
Yeah, I think the 4 of Killian Hayes, I almost see him as, he's the offensive hype, not a lot of defensive praise. Kind of like what Darian Scarwin's done for the Cleveland the past couple of years. He hasn't been great. Yeah. Now, if you look at Damian Lillard, it took Damian Lillard a good 5-6 years for him to really, really become the player he is. I still have hope for Darius Garland to be a decent offensive player. I think Killian Hayes could come in, maybe not make a huge impact right away, but develop, and hopefully, if Detroit builds a decent team around him, I think Killian Hayes is the perfect fit for Detroit right now.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, and now we go to the one and only New York Knicks, and I mean they're all over the place right now, man. I mean, if we're talking rumors, Russell Westbrook. I think they'd have to give up that 8th overall pick if they're going to go for Westbrook, and I don't think that's worth it. Maybe it is if you want a playoff berth, but if you're the Knicks and you're not making any moves and you stay at 8, who are you picking?
This one's going to come as a bit of a surprise thing. I think this was definitely the first one we're going to differ on because this is a prospect who a lot of people don't even have going in the lottery.
Yes, then definitely different.
I think that's ridiculous because I think he's so talented. I'm taking Kira Lewis Jr.
Wow.
Point guard out of Alabama. Point guard out of Alabama. Yes, I am.
Okay.
I really like him, and I think he could be a really good fit for the New York Knicks. I really do. Just because they need a point guard.
Yes.
They need a point guard. They got RJ Barrett.
Yes.
And Mitch Robinson.
Yes.
Who both young pieces you want to build around.
Mm-hmm.
But Kira Lewis Jr., that's the kind of point guard you need. You need someone who can be in a good backcourt with RJ Barrett. And my comparison for him, although this isn't like talent wise, just play style wise, I see him a lot as like a George Hill kind of player.
Okay.
Who's a point guard who's going to come in, great shooter, very fast. I mean, Kira Lewis Jr. I think is one of the fastest players in the draft. He can blow right by you. He's very, very good shooter. He's a good playmaker. The fact that he's not in most people's top 10s is, I don't know, that it's very surprising to me because I watched him play a lot in Alabama and he impressed me a lot. And I think the Knicks would be, and the Knicks need a guard, right? The Knicks need a guard. I could see them taking Halliburton here if he falls.
Yes.
That wouldn't surprise me. But I think Halliburton's going to be gone by then. I think Killian Hayes is going to be gone by then. And at this point, you're running out of great point guards in the draft with those two gone. So I think they might reach a little bit for Kira Lewis Jr. And I would like that pick from them.
So I have one of two options. I wrote down 2 names. I am agreeing with you that they're going to reach for a point guard. but I don't think the New York Knicks are smart enough to look really into Akira Lewis Jr. and notice that he's going to be like a solid point guard in this league. And I think if they're going to go point guard, they're going to go off the hype and they're going to take a stupid move and go Cole Anthony this high, which we'll get. Yeah, well, I think I know your opinions on Cole Anthony.
No, we'll talk about Cole Anthony now because I have Cole Anthony nowhere near the lot.
I'm going to take a step back.
I have Cole Anthony at number 22 on my draft board.
Wow.
Look, I am the biggest Cole Anthony hater you'll ever meet. I've watched him play 3 times in person in college. I'm a big ACC guy. I watch a lot of ACC basketball. I watched him play a ton this year in North Carolina. He doesn't contribute to winning basketball. He's a selfish player. He doesn't play good defense. He complains and whines every time something doesn't go his way. He's not good for locker room chemistry. I mean, look, North Carolina was last in the ACC this year with him as their best player. A lot of people will say it's because he's injured. Their record when he came back their winning percentage was just about the same when he came back when he wasn't playing. He doesn't contribute to winning basketball. He's an electric scorer, but he also, when he's not shooting well, he also will hurt your team. In the ACC tournament against Syracuse University, he was like 2 for 15, and he just got completely bombarded by a very strong SU defense. I'm not high on Cole Anthony at all. Yes, Elijah Hughes. Elijah Hughes is better than Cole Anthony. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh wow. Okay. No, that's exactly why I hate to say this. That's exactly why I have them reaching on Cole Anthony, because they're going to be like, offensive shot creator, half decent playmaker. Let's put him and see what he does. But my more realistic pick is I think they go best available, which I think is, if I'm a Knicks fan, I'm not going to be mad at this pick. I think they're going to try and have an Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins type front court, and I think they're going to go Onyeka Okongwu. Just because although I don't think the fit next to Mitchell Robinson is great, if I'm the Knicks, you have to go best available. There's no, unless you go a point guard, there's no other option for me as a Knicks fan.
Yeah, no, I mean, Okongwu's a undersized center, so you obviously
you could move. That's what I was saying. You could move him to the power forward.
And honestly, I don't think that's the worst move in the world. But with the Knicks right now, you're not going to. At least this is just in general for most NBA teams. I don't think you're going to build a contending team from the front court. That doesn't happen much. You know, in the modern NBA, you got to build around guards and electric scorers. And Okongwu is not a scorer. Mitch Rob's not a scorer. So I mean, I could see the fit there. They would have the potential to be the best defensive big man duo.
Exactly.
That's why.
League. That's the only reason why I say it. But
yeah, and I think that would be good for the Knicks. But they would need a lot more pieces to contend.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, you never know what the Knicks organization is going to do. I mean, they could reach on somebody that we don't even mention today.
Exactly.
So who knows? Whether it's Kira Lewis, whether it's Cole Anthony, whether it's Okongwu. I mean, you never know. I'm just gonna laugh if they take Cole Anthony. No, because that'd be the most Knicks move ever.
I agree. And that's why I say it.
If they take him, it's just because of name value. If they take him,
it's
right. I mean, it's just because he's one of the more popular players in this draft. I don't know. I'm interested. That's one of the picks I'm most interested in seeing what the Knicks do.
Yeah, I really hope that the Knicks end up trading up. I hope if Killian Hayes is on the board for the New York Knicks and they don't take them, that is a joke.
Oh my God.
I feel like he's the perfect fit for this team. Like that's exactly what they need.
Oh yeah.
But
even if they trade up like 2 slots, I think they'd have a shot at Killian Hayes. I think that would be great for them. But it's the Knicks. They never make the right move.
No, we'll see. I mean, there's rumors that, they'll get KD, Kyrie, and Zion in one offseason, and they're stuck with RJ Barrett and
Julius Randle,
Kevin Knox,
and Taj Gibson.
It's frustrating. I would hate to be a Knicks fan.
I'm sorry, Knicks fans.
Yeah,
I do feel for Knicks fans.
Moving on to number 9.
Number 9, Wizards.
Washington Wizards. Who you got?
This is where I've got Okongwu going. I need Okongwu from USC. Overall, I think he's better than he's going to get drafted. I just think most teams, especially when you're outside the top 3, when you're looking at 4 through 8, those teams aren't looking for big men. I think Okongwu overall in my draft board, I have him as the number 6 most talented player. I low-key like him better than Wiseman. I just think I think the Wizards is a great fit with him.
Yes.
That's why I have him going to the Wizards. I think he could go higher. I think he has the talent to go higher, but I think the Wizards is perfect for him because the Wizards don't have a good center they don't have a center right now.
Thomas Bryant's not the answer.
You slot him next to Rui Hachimura. The Wizards, obviously, defense was their biggest problem this year. They were the worst defensive team in the NBA. Okonkwo can be a huge help for that. He's a great defender, and you saw a lot at USC. He's a defensive-minded player. He's mobile, and he's just well suited to be a defensive anchor for a team, even at only 6'9". So I'm really big on him. I think the Wizards is a perfect fit for him.
Yeah.
My comparison for him is John Collins, who I know he's more of a power forward, but Collins is a great defender, great rebounder. I mean, 20 point per game scorer this past year. I think Okonkwo has the potential to do that.
Yeah. No, I love I could see Okonkwo going from 3 to the Charlotte Hornets if they decide to reach on a center all the way to this pick. I don't think he falls. I
could see him going further back too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the defensive game, I don't see a lot of those teams passing up. But yes, I see what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Wizards if Okonkwo is on the board for the Wizards, I think they have to take him. Like I think that's a must. That's a must take because the fit is perfect there.
Yeah.
Unless they really just don't see the talent in him, but I don't know. I from watching his clips and watching some of his games at USC, I mean, I think he's going to be a great center in the NBA.
Yeah, I love his defensive presence. Now I already have him going 8. So
so what you got?
I have the Wizards taking the next Robert Covington in Isaac Okoro. I think Isaac Okoro, I think he's a good 3-and-D player. They really haven't had their starting small forward this year was Isaac Bonga.
Yeah.
I mean, they need a small forward. I think their small forward's their biggest position of need to put next to, John Wall, Bradley Beal. As long as I've seen a couple of rumors real quick. I want to throw this out there. This is completely off topic of the draft. I just read a rumor that the Wizards and the Rockets are in trade talks possibly for Russell Westbrook for John Wall. I literally just read this right before we clicked record. I would be so mad if John Wall moves on from the Wizards.
Yeah.
But
John Wall's got to be a Wizard.
Yes.
I don't see him in any other uniform but a Wizard. I want him to retire a Wizard.
Yes, me too. And so if they keep John Wall and Bradley Beal, I think Isaac Okoro, if Okongwu is off the board, I think Isaac Okoro is the next best player. I see his ceiling being an Andre Iguodala type player, where he's just a lockdown defender, decent third or fourth option on a team. Yeah, I like Isaac Okoro.
When we get to Okoro, we'll get to Okoro pretty soon for mine, but Iguodala was my comparison for him as well.
Yeah.
And I think he fits the defensive needs of the Wizard. I mean, they gotta focus more on defense. Whether you go Okoro or Okonkwo, I think they're both great defensive players. They're defense first. I think that's what the Wizards need right now. So I think either of them would be a great selection for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now at number 10, we have the most interesting team in this offseason so far, the Phoenix Suns. Now, let's hear it.
This is where I've got Okoro going.
Okay.
Because I think that's what they need most right now is the small forward. I love Cam Johnson.
I have Cam at the 4. I have Mikal at the 3.
Mikal 3. I could see either one. I think either one of them would fit better coming off the bench. Okay. I don't think you start both of them because then they don't have as much bench depth outside of that. So if you bring Bridges or Cam Johnson off the bench for good scoring, I think you slot Okoro in, who's again Phoenix. Not the best defensive team last year. Okoro would come in, slot in, like I said, Andre Iguodala type player. He would be perfect. I know a lot of people, at least before the Chris Paul trade, everyone was like, oh, the Suns are going to target a point guard, whether it be Kira Lewis, Tyrese Halliburton, or Killian Hayes. That kind of answered those questions. That now they got Chris Paul. So now I think you're looking at someone like Isaac Okoro, who would be, I think, a great selection for them. I think he's the best glue guy in the draft.
Without a doubt. That's the perfect way to put him.
He's a Draymond Green type of guy. He's not a ceiling raiser. He's not going to take your worst team and make it a contender. But you put him on a team like the Suns, who's going to be at least a playoff team in the West. I think he elevates them to be a top 5 team in the West.
Yeah.
Especially if he develops his offensive game.
Yes. That's why I kind of see him as a Rocco kind of player. That's why I gave that comparison. I have I wrote 2 names down because I think Okoro will already be off the board. I have them taking the next best 3-and-D player, which is Devin Vassell out of Florida State.
Devin Vassell, yep.
It's very similar to Isaac Okoro. So I think Devin Vassell has a higher ceiling than Isaac Okoro. I think Isaac Okoro is a perfect glue guy, and he's mainly defensive player. But I like the fit for putting that 3-and-D piece like Devin Vassell next to Devin Booker, Chris Paul. I think he's very similar to Mikal Bridges, and I think Mikal Bridges is a great 6-man, not starting caliber. And so I have Vassell, and if they don't go Vassell, I have the Alabama point guard Kira Lewis Jr. and I have Chris Paul just mentor Kira Lewis Jr. And next thing you know,
totally see that
he'd be an awesome fit.
Absolutely, and as much as I think the Knicks should take Lewis, I don't think it's going to happen just because it's the Knicks. So I could totally see, I could see Lewis following here, and I don't think it's a terrible fit. I know he's the type of guy who you can bring off the bench for a couple years before you develop him into a starting caliber point guard. So I think that's a great fit, and and I like the Vassell fit too. Vassell reminds me a lot of. I think he's going to be a better Cam Johnson. So I'm not 100% sure if they would draft that kind of player 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an option. It's definitely an option for them. I love Vassell. I have him at number 11 in the draft. So him going 10 be perfect.
Exactly. I think I can't wait to see what the Phoenix Suns do, whether they could trade the pick. They could really do it. They have control over their destiny right now with the Cole Chris Paul thing. And a team that doesn't look like they have much, control over what they're doing right now is the San Antonio Spurs. They're such a mid team. I feel so bad for Greg Popovich. I think he should. As much as I wanted to retire,
call it a career.
Either call it a career or try and find a more competitive team to coach. I don't see him going anywhere else. So that's why I say call it a career. The Spurs are now in a rebuild mode. Greg Popovich is not a rebuilding coach. So
the Spurs are the type of team that they go rebuild mode, and they could be the best team. They could be one of the best teams in the league in 2 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's just the Spurs. In my whole life, I can't remember a time where the Spurs weren't competitive until this past season.
Exactly.
And it's like in football, like the New England Patriots, like they're never bad. They're never bad. And even though they're down, they're never it's just one of those franchise things. The Spurs are such a good franchise that they won't be down for long.
Exactly.
And so going off of that, I actually have who you had going at number 10. I had Devin Vassell going to the Spurs at number 11 because I just think at this point he's the best available player on the board for me. 1 through 10, and for me, well, the draft order wasn't exactly my specific order who I think the 10 best players were. Overall, it did end up being my top 10 players in the draft ended up going at least 1 through 10 at some point.
Gotcha.
So my 11th best player in the draft was Devin Vassell, and I think so he should go 11. I think great score. I think 3-and-D. He's exactly what you need as a starting caliber piece. I think he'd come in and start right away for the Spurs because they don't really have that many pieces other than like Lonnie Walker and DeJounte Murray. But you pretty much covered a lot of Vassell last, so I'm not going to talk about him that much. I don't think he's ever going to be a stud, but he's a starting caliber player. He reminds me of like a Kent Bazemore, so to speak, someone like that.
Okay.
Just a good score, maybe even like a Jordan Clarkson, although less of a ball handler, but just someone who he's going to come in, he's going to score,
get buckets. Yeah,
get buckets exactly.
I think if Vassell is on the board, I still didn't have them taking him. I think Vassell would then fall a little bit, maybe just down to 12 or 13. I think this is almost a lock of a pick. I think Saddiq Bey out of Villanova. There's so many 3-and-D players in this draft, and I think Saddiq Bey has the highest IQ, like basketball IQ in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's up there with oh my gosh, Tyrese Halliburton, who we said has a very big. I think those two are very. They're both the highest IQ players in the drafts. I mean, unless Lonzo turns out to be an incredible IQ player, LaMelo, which I don't know about that happening, but I think Saddiq Bey is just a perfect Greg Popovich small forward. And because of the fact he's going under Greg Popovich, I could see them utilizing him as we thought Kawhi Leonard was going to be utilized for a really long time. And I don't think he'll ever become Kawhi Leonard, but I see a lot of it in his game.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the size and he's got the shooting.
Yeah.
I really like Sadiq Bey. I mean, every time someone comes out of Villanova, I like them.
Exactly.
Just because I think Villanova to me is a top 3 or 4 college basketball program in the country. I think what they do at Villanova, very, very. I love what they do over at Villanova. I love Jay Wright, and I think they're good for player development. So I think Sadiq Bey could come in and he could be a fantastic player. I have him at number 15 on my
15 is where Kawhi Leonard
players
went
in the draft. Exactly, but I mean, I trust the Spurs. If there's any team I trust, it's the Spurs. Whoever they draft here at 11, it's a good pick.
Yes.
So if they think Sadiq Bey is the best player available at number 11, I trust the Spurs judgment because they don't miss in the draft.
No,
they don't miss.
Never.
So,
exactly.
I mean, I think you could be spot on with that one. The more you talked about it, the more I like that fit a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Vassell or Bey. I think either one.
Oh, exactly. I think either one would fit in Greg Popovich's offense. At 12, we have the Sacramento Kings. Another weird team in the draft. What are your thoughts on this?
I have Aaron Nesmith going number 12 to the Kings. He's like to me, he's in the same boat as Vassell and Bey.
Yeah.
But the thing with Aaron Nesmith is I think he would be a perfect fit on the Kings, which is why I have him going for the Kings. Just because he brings the same 3-and-D that those other guys do. Mm-hmm. And I think he's good enough that he could start right away from Vanderbilt. He's been falling a little bit on draft boards recently. I have
noticed that.
Yeah, but he's a tall shooter.
Yes.
And come on, tall shooters in today's NBA, they always get snatched up. He reminds me a lot of Cam Johnson from last year. I know I used that comparison already.
Okay.
With Vassell, but I mean, I don't know. I think Nesmith to me is one of the biggest question marks in the draft, and the Kings seem to draft question marks. You never really know what you're going to get out of a Kings draft.
Exactly.
So I think I just see Nesmith as a Kings type of player. I don't have much reasoning on why, but I like the fit there.
Yeah.
I think he could come in, especially with Bogdanovich gone, and if they do trade Buddy Hield to the Sixers, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Nesmith coming in being their starting shooting guard next to De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah. See, I have Buddy Hield getting traded, hopefully to the Philadelphia 76ers, but I have them coming in and replacing Buddy Hield with RJ Hampton. He's just
RJ
Hampton. Scorer. I was watching a little bit of RJ Hampton highlights. Mm-hmm. He reminds me just a lot of Jordan Clarkson. He's just a scorer. That's my player.
I agree with that.
And
I agree with that.
I feel like if you're going to trade away Buddy Hield and Bogdanovich, which it looks like they already traded with Bogdanovich, if you're going to trade away Buddy Hield, it looks like you're going to need someone to step into the shooting guard role. And that's what I view Nesmith as more of a small forward / I guess I think he's a perfect small forward. And so I personally just think that the Sacramento Kings will go with RJ Hampton.
Yeah, I mean, Hampton's one of the few really true combo guards, I think, in the draft. Yeah. I think Halliburton is as well. And I honestly think LaMelo could also play off the ball a little bit, depending on where he slides in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Hampton, I don't know. I think Hampton's either going to come out and be a top 5 or 6 player in this draft class, or he's going to be one of those guys that's just total bust out of the league in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I don't really think there's in between. It just depends on if his scoring translates to the NBA.
Yes.
It doesn't with everybody. I have him overall, I think, number 17 on my top 30.
Okay.
But yeah, I could totally see him jumping into the lottery. I mean, I've even seen a couple mock drafts putting him in the top 10.
Wow.
Not so sure about that one. I just think there's too many question marks with him. But I mean, the potential is obviously there, and I could definitely see the fit with De'Aaron Fox. I think he would be a great replacement for Buddy Hield.
Yeah. The only other player I have written down that they could also target was, we'll probably talk about him later with your draft board, but Tyrese Maxey, just another shooter kind of guy. We'll get more into him later, exactly. But I see both those fits.
Maxey, yeah, I have Hampton at 17 on mine. I have Maxey at 18.
Yeah.
So I think either one of them, I think they're both very even. I think Hampton has the better potential, but I think he could be such a dynamic backcourt with Fox too, that I think either one of them, his ceiling is, Tyrese Maxey's ceiling is so high.
Yes.
I'll talk about him right now just because I don't have him in my top 14 on any of these
Go
teams.
for it.
But I think Tyrese Maxey's ceiling is so high. We've seen Kentucky player development.
Yeah.
Kentucky produces better NBA players than any other school. And I think that's like a fact at this point. No one college produces better NBA players than Kentucky. You just look at Kentucky's all NBA team. Like right now, John Wall, Devin Booker, DeMarcus Cousins, Karl Anthony Towns. The list goes on.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo. Come on. I think Maxey just could be the next one in a long list.
Yeah. Okay,
Anthony Davis. How could I forget?
Didn't say him.
How could I forget?
So for some reason, I didn't second question myself. Where I was like, did he go to Kentucky?
Slipped my mind. Absolutely, Anthony Davis.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think Maxey's gonna fall out of the lottery.
Okay.
But Kentucky development, and Maxey plays with such confidence.
Yes, that's what I love about him.
He steps on the floor. Exactly. When I watched him at Kentucky, exactly, Tyler here. When Maxey steps on the floor, he acts like he's the best player on the floor, and I love that confidence. It can be a little dangerous as a rookie. You could see him having low efficiency ratings, probably a lot of turnovers. He might struggle a little bit his rookie season.
Hero.
Exactly. But I love Maxey. Maxey's big Maxey fan here.
If Maxey doesn't go 12, I would have him going 13 to the Pelicans.
Pelicans, okay.
Just another Drew Holiday kind of player, but the player I actually have them taking, which I think they're gonna reach a lot, and I think they're gonna go Josh Green from Arizona. What are your thoughts? Like who do you think they're gonna go with?
Josh Green. Oh no, I want to hear your Josh Green first.
I
think that's a very interesting one.
Yeah, so Josh Green, to me, he's just he's a defender. I have him as one of the top. I think I have him as a top 4 or 5 defender in this entire class. That's what he's known for, and he can pretty much everyone who gets into the NBA can hopefully hit an open shot, unless your name's like Danny Green. But besides him, most players can just hit an open 3 or open mid range, and I see them seeing the defensive potential, and just being like, let's see what we could do with him. Let's hope we could develop an offensive game and go with the defensive potential.
That's interesting. I have Green on my board. I have him at 29.
Wow. Okay.
I just don't see his game translating that well to the NBA.
Oh, fair.
I'm not huge on Josh Green.
I think they're going to draft a prospect no matter who they draft, especially at 13.
Yeah, but, he is a prospect. I think that's a good word for it. I'm in the pool that I don't think he's going to pan out. Okay. But you never know. I think the potential's there. Yeah. So that's very interesting. I like that. I like going bold.
Thank you. There. What do you think they're going to go?
Mine is actually, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned him yet because I thought I had him further down than anyone else. Patrick Williams from Florida State. Yeah. Most mock drafts have him in the top 10. Have him in the top 10. So I have him all the way down at 13. A lot of people saying he's going to be in the 4 to 8 range right now. I'm not
really
a big Patrick Williams guy.
Oh no.
I watched him a lot at Florida State. He doesn't really have much skill. No. I don't know. This comment might come back to bite me. He's a great defender. He's a good defender, and he's shown flashes of shooting and playmaking, but there's nothing Patrick Williams did in college. And you know me I'm a big ACC guy, so I know these ACC guys coming out very well. And Patrick Williams doesn't jump out to me. I think he'll still go lottery. That's why I have him at 13 on the Pelicans. I think if he does happen to fall, I think the Pelicans will snatch him up because why not? They already have so much young talent. Why not take a risk?
Exactly.
But and I think considering he can play small forward or power forward, I think the fit could work, especially as a small forward, backing up Brandon Ingram. But I'm surprised I didn't realize you were in the same camp as me.
I am not a Patrick Williams fan. My player comparison to Patrick Williams is I have him as like an Eric Pascal kind of player. I saw a lot of glimpses of I don't know. I watched a lot of Warriors games this year, and then I watched I probably only saw 2 or 3, Florida State games, if that. And the game that I noticed him, I'm not a big I'm not high on him. This, as we said, this could come back to bite us. I could see Patrick Williams, if a team decides to go small ball, him being like a PJ Tucker kind of role too.
Yeah.
But I'm not high on him. I think that they'd rather go shooting guard to replace Drew Holiday. That's why I have them going with the Tyrese Maxey, Josh Green, like reaching on him over a 6-man, 7th-man kind of player. But yeah, Patrick Williams, he's an interesting player.
I mean, yeah, my comparison to him is like an OG Anunoby, and I'm not a big OG Anunoby guy. So I mean, great shot, saved the series against the Celtics. But I just don't think OG's game. I don't think Patrick Williams' game translates to be a true NBA stud, especially if a team's going to take him in the 4 to 8 range. Like you got to hope that he's going to be a superstar, and I just don't see the superstar in him. I don't.
Either.
No, and also Florida State hasn't really had much success developing NBA players in recent years. So
yeah,
I personally I like Vassell better than him.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. I think Vassell should go.
Prospect.
Yeah. I don't have Williams in my lottery. I've got Vassell at 10. So
interesting. I mean, I don't think he'll fall. I think his name is too hot right now that I don't think he'll fall out of the lottery. And I think the team like the Pelicans is the perfect choice to snatch him up.
Fair. Yeah. And moving on to the very last pick in the lottery in the very last pick in the lottery, the Boston Celtics, who tend to always have a lottery pick and still be a competitive team just because, the Brooklyn Nets screwed up a couple years ago. For this pick, here, I'll start right now. I have them going Precious Achiuwa out of Memphis. Do you have the same pick?
For this one, I had 2 because I could see them going one of 2 ways. But he was definitely one of them. I love Precious Achiuwa. No, I want to hear talk about Precious Achiuwa for a little bit, just because
he's a versatile, big man kind of player. And I looked at Patrick Williams here. I actually had them even passing on Aaron Nesmith here. And the only reason why I still haven't had Aaron Nesmith, the only reason why is because their wings are just there's too many good ones right now. Unless the only way I could see them taking a wing as a like a Nesmith or a Patrick Williams is if they move Gordon Hayward for Miles Turner and open up that and get a better big man. Then they might need to slide a backup small forward in, something like that. But say they keep Gordon Hayward, they obviously are going to keep Smart, Tatum, and Brown. I have them going with a power forward, kind of like a power. I wouldn't say center, but pretty good power forward in Precious Achiuwa. He's good. I think his best attribute is his rebounding, and they struggled a lot in rebounding because Daniel Tyson, Robert Williams were not the answer. Tatum's not a big rebounder.
Enes Kanter.
Yeah. Enes Kanter is the bottom tier centers when it comes to rebounding, and so that's why I saw Precious Achiuwa.
He's the bottom tier centers.
Yeah. I saw his best attribute is rebounding, so that's why I thought he'd be a solid fit for the Boston Celtics.
And also notice with the Celtics, they like to take projects.
Yes.
They're not going to take the guy who's going to come in and produce immediately. They'll take the guy who's going to be a stud in 5 years. And I think that's perfect for Precious Achiuwa. Exactly. He's not going to make a name for himself in the next 2 or 3 years, but he'll emerge in a couple years and you'll be like, where did that guy come from? You'll be like, 2020 draft, back of the lottery.
Oh wow!
My other one, my other one that this is more of a reach.
Oh,
but I think it could pan out. I don't even know if you've heard this name before, but I really like Aleksej Pokusevski.
He was my 3rd player for them actually.
Really? Yeah.
I have heard of him.
Again, overseas big man. You never know what you're going to get from an overseas big man.
Exactly.
But I think the potential's there. He could be, at his best, he could be like a Porzingis. Like, he can shoot the ball. He can rebound the ball.
I haven't looked into him, so this is all you with knowing about his game.
Oh, yeah. No, I've watched a little bit of his clips before, and if you watch his game, he has the potential to be so good. He just hasn't gotten any press so far. So I'm fascinated. I could see him going in the lottery, and I could see him falling out of the first round.
Wow.
I honestly no idea where the hell he's going to go. But I think the talent's there that a team should jump on him in the first round. And if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be the Boston Celtics.
Yeah. I could. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Alexis Pokazevsky.
Pokasevsky.
I was close. He could go 8 to the New York Knicks and be another player like that.
I mean, if he goes to the Knicks, chalk it down that he's a bust.
Oh, without a doubt. Unless he gets booed on draft night, then he'll be Porzingis. But besides that, call him a bust. But no, I like the prospect idea. I agree. The Celtics they're in a win now situation. But with the 14th pick, I don't think there's another really win now type player on the board. So that's why I agree with you for them to go to a prospect. Yeah, so that concludes the lottery, but I know you're really, really tempted to talk about the 21st overall pick. I'll let you go here.
76ers.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Tyrell Terry.
Tyrell Terry, that's it.
Tyrell Terry. If there's every year you hear about the next Steph Curry. Yeah, Trae Young. Last year it was Carson Edwards. This year it's Tyrell Terry. And honestly, I like Terry more than Carson Edwards. I think Tyrell Terry is exactly what the Sixers need. Whether you slot him in at shooting guard or you play him as a backup point guard to Ben. I mean, he's a scorer and he's a shooter.
Finish the game with him.
Exactly. And if you watch any of his college highlights, there's one thing he does better than anyone else in this draft. And that is exactly what JJ Redick made his name for doing in Philly, shooting off the pick and roll.
Okay.
That's it. Joel Embiid and JJ Redick were one of the most dominant combinations in the league.
Yeah.
Embiid body setting picks and JJ's shooting ability, it was unstoppable. And Terry's got the same shooting ability as Redick. Yeah. And if you put that combination with Embiid, I think that's going to be scary. And I think Tyrell Terry is going to be a stud in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
but
my
like biggest issue with that is he's getting more and more press as the draft approaches.
Yes.
I'm not confident he's gonna fall to 21. And I think he's good enough that the Sixers, if they think he's gonna go before then, they should trade up for him.
Wow.
I've got him overall on my draft board. I've got Terry at 16.
Okay.
Just outside the lottery, but I think he's talented enough that he could be a top 10, 14 player in the draft. And I'm huge on him. Like, I have not been more passionate about a Sixers draft pick since they passed on Michael Porter Jr. a couple of years ago. And
frustrating times.
And you know what? As a Sixers fan, I'm prepared for us to pass on Terry this year. He's going to be there. I'm going to be all excited. And then we're going to take like Josh Green or Cole Anthony or someone like that. If we take Cole Anthony over Tyrell Terry, I will not be a Sixers fan anymore. I'll mark my words on that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm a big Tyrell Terry guy. That is definitely the guy I wanted to mention most in my outside of the lottery.
Yeah.
I mean, you covered most of the other ones. I had Sadiq Bey just outside.
Yep.
I think you covered him very well. Great player. Could be a great fit on the Spurs. We talked about RJ Hampton a little bit. We talked about Tyrese Maxey, who the more we get closer, the higher I am on Maxey. I think I would move him up a little bit more.
Yes.
Maybe into the lottery. We'll see. We talked about Cole Anthony. Another guy that I really like. I have him at 23, so kind of back of the first round. But Isaiah Stewart from Washington, the center.
Ooh, I'm going to be honest. I don't know much about this
guy.
Never
heard of him? So. Yeah, no. My cousin was a graduate assistant at Washington 2 years ago. So I'm, pretty, and Mike Hopkins coaches there. So I'm pretty, I watched a decent amount of Washington basketball, and Isaiah Stewart, I think, is a great young prospect coming into the league. I know the Celtics were actually pretty high on him too. I don't think he'll jump into the lottery at 14.
If he can fall to 30?
If he could, I mean, he could. He very well could fall to 30.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm looking at the CBS mock draft right now, and they actually have him going 30 to Boston 30? Celtics. So
I could see him going anywhere in the 20s, I think. He is tough, great defender. He's got an improving jump shot. I mean, he's a well-rounded prospect, and there's really no questions with him. I think he's going to come in, and you know what you're going to get from Isaiah Stewart. He's not going to be a top 10 player in this draft class, but he's going to be a starting caliber center, or at least a solid backup center in this league for whoever takes him. And I think with him coming at the back of the first round, he's going to be on a contending team, whether it's the Celtics, whether it's the Heat, whether it's the Jazz, someone like that.
Yeah.
I think he's going to make a name for himself because he's going to be on a playoff team and he's going to get good minutes.
Sweet.
So that's definitely someone I wanted to mention.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if there's any, sleeper picks that you have towards the end of the first round. So I think that covers it. And then obviously,
that's one, but I got to talk about Elijah Hughes for a second.
Yep, I knew it. I was about to mention him.
Elijah Hughes will not go in the first round. Mark my words on that. I mean, SU fan, SU student. I got to talk about him. He is so talented, and it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see him not going in the first round in almost every mock draft. Most have him going early second at the minimum.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be seeing him in the early second round.
Has him going 40th overall to the Memphis Grizzlies, which I think is good.
Yeah, fit. I mean, Elijah Hughes. I mean, you lead the ACC in scoring. You can score the basketball. I don't care what level you're at. He averaged over 19 points per game for SU last year, and he was the leading scorer in the ACC. Yeah, he made Cole Anthony look ridiculous on the national stage, and he carried an SU team that wasn't very talented last year. He's great wing defender, great shooter. He can score at all three levels. He's such a smooth jump shot. It's like an NBA ready jump shot. There's no working with it. His release is incredible. I mean, this is somebody that it amazes me that he's not ranked higher than he is. I've watched so much of him, and he's better than most of the guys in this draft. I mean, that's okay, not most of the guys, but I would probably have him just outside the top 20 overall.
Okay.
He's that good.
An SU student.
He's NBA. He's a little biased, but he's NBA ready. He's NBA ready. He's played a couple years of collegiate basketball. I know teams don't tend to be as high on guys who have played a couple years in college.
Juniors or seniors.
But especially someone he's a transfer too, so he's a little bit older.
Oh, okay.
But fantastic 3-and-D player who can score at all three levels. Great 3-point shooter. I mean, to me, he's the best SU player I've watched since Deion Waiters.
Wow, high praise.
Yeah, I'm huge on Elijah Hughes. I mean, again, we haven't been that talented, but I think in college at least, I thought he was better than Malachi Richardson, better than Tyus Battle.
Malachi went what?
Some
14?
Of the bigger names.
Didn't Malachi go 14? I think to the Raptors.
Yep, Malachi was a lottery pick. I was not big on Malachi coming out of the draft.
I think all SU fans weren't.
Ridiculously overdraft just because of one or two great tournament games.
Yep.
But I mean, Hughes is my favorite player to come out of SU in years. So I'm really excited to see what he can do in the NBA.
Yeah.
Hopefully given his chance.
Exactly. Well, high praise on a lot of players that we've talked about in this draft class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited to see how it goes. I mean, we got, tonight's the draft, and so it should be fun. We'll be watching it together actually. So my guess is we'll probably be talking about our how we did. It's crazy. We had one through 7 at the exact same pick. So what are the odds of
1 through 7
happening?
Yeah.
So let's hope.
Imagine if that is 1 through 7, we're immediately making a reaction video of this, and we're just hype ourselves up.
Exactly.
Hype ourselves up.
Yeah. So once again, I'd like to say thank you all for watching. If you're not already new here, we're just here, M.V.P, Metnick, and Vinci Productions, here to give you guys our NBA insight, our NBA opinions. If you'd like to drop a subscribe, go for it. I'm figuring out a way actually right now in the making of trying to put this podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. When I get that going, I will let everybody know. It will just be probably in the beginning of the podcast. We will also be using a different recording website. The next time you see us, we're gonna have a little bit of a better production. And we're gonna be able to see each other and talk a lot more about this because I'm coming home. I'm coming home from college tomorrow. Pretty exciting stuff. And so
very exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
First thing we get to do together in 3 months. Watch the NBA draft. It's gonna be great.
Too long. Been way too long.
It's gonna be great.
So yeah, thank you to everyone for tuning in, and we will catch you guys in the next podcast. See ya.
Have a good one, everyone.